All right, so you're a founder. You've got a world-changing idea, but coding's not really your jam. Well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down how a tool called Claude Code can help you take that vision from your head to a real working prototype without you having to write a single line of code yourself.
I mean, that's the classic founder's dilemma, right? You've got the next big thing sketched out on a napkin, the app that's going to solve a huge problem, but that one little roadblock is standing in your way. You're not a developer. If that's you, trust me, you are not alone.
You know, the old way of doing this was just a total grind. You'd have to go find a technical co-founder or raise a ton of money to hire expensive engineers and then wait months, sometimes years, just to get a first version out the door. It was a massive hurdle, but that's the old way.
And this quote, man, it just nails the huge shift that's happening right now. The whole game has changed. Your job isn't to be down in the weeds writing the code anymore. It's to be the director, the manager of the AI agent that's writing it for you. It's a completely new kind of leverage.
So let's pull back the curtain and meet your new secret weapon. And I don't want you to think of this as just another app or a tool. Think of it as your new AI teammate. Okay, so what is Claude Code, really? At its core, it's an AI assistant that lives in your command line. Now, don't let that term command line scare you. All it really means is that it has direct access to your project's files on your computer. It's not just suggesting code in some separate chat window. No, it can actually read your entire project, write new files, create folders, and keep everything organized for you. There is zero copy pasting. It just does the work. This is probably the best way to think about it. Using something like ChatGPT for coding is kind of like asking a smart friend for advice over a screen share. They can point things out, give you suggestions, but you're still the one doing all the typing. Claude Code, on the other hand, is like having that friend just take over the keyboard and build the thing. It's not an advisor, it's a doer, an active member of your team.
And look, it's not just for slinging code. As a founder, you could use this thing to instantly summarize hundreds of pieces of customer feedback, or even draft a whole pitch deck from a few bullet points. But for us, right here, right now, we're laser-focused on its superpower, building code, and most importantly, getting those first prototypes off the ground without a dev team.
Which brings us to the absolute heart of this whole thing. Because if you want to go from idea to prototype really fast, you need a system. You need a professional workflow that actually gets you results, instead of just running you around in circles.
And this, right here, is the biggest mistake I see people make. They fire up the tool and just start talking to it like it's a magic genie. You know, build me a social media app for cats. And what do you get? A mess. You get inconsistent results, tons of bugs, and you waste hours going back and forth on revisions. That is not how the pros do it.
The secret, the absolute key, is a workflow that is all about planning first. Think about it. You wouldn't build a house without a detailed blueprint, right? So why would you try to build your app without a clear plan for your AI teammate? Let's break down what that blueprinting process actually looks like.
Okay, look closely at this. The most important thing to see here is that the first 4 steps, 4 of them, are all about planning. You start in what's called plan mode. You write out a super clear, specific goal. Then you let Claude come back with a step-by-step plan to get it done. And then, and this is the critical part, you review that plan. You go back and forth with Claude to make it perfect. You're basically creating the blueprint together. Only when that plan is rock solid do you flip the switch and tell it, okay, go execute.
This is the golden rule. It's honestly that simple. Every single minute you spend making that plan better is probably 10 minutes you save in bug fixing and revisions later on. A great brief, a perfect blueprint, means Claude knows exactly what you want, which means a much, much faster path to a working prototype.
So the plan is everything. But what if we could, supercharge that plan from the get-go? What if we could give our AI teammate all the context it needs before it even writes step 1? Well, that's where a couple of power features come in.
First up is this simple little file you create called CLAUDE.md. Think of this as your project's permanent brain. You just dump everything in here, the big picture vision for your app, the specific technologies you want to use, maybe even your brand's style guide. It's like the ultimate briefing document that Claude can read anytime.
So why does this matter so much? Because before Claude even thinks about generating a plan, it reads this file. It internalizes your entire vision. So the very first draft of the plan it suggests isn't a wild guess. It's already 90% of the way there, perfectly aligned with what you're trying to build. It's a game changer for the quality of your plan.
Next up, we've got something called skills. The easiest way to think about these are like little pre-packaged recipes for tasks you do all the time. For example, you could create a skill for building a new feature that includes all the steps. Create the right files, add some boilerplate code, write a quick test for it. You get the idea. It's a reusable automation.
And here's where it gets really cool for your planning. When you're writing your main goal, you can just say, and build out the user profile page using my new feature skill. Claude instantly knows what that means. It unpacks that entire complex recipe right into the plan, making your plan way more powerful and making the final execution incredibly consistent and fast, every single time.
All right, let's boil this all down into a few simple, actionable rules that'll set you up for success right out of the gate.
So the do's. Always, and I mean always, start in plan mode. Don't skip it. Be ridiculously specific in your goals. This isn't a chatbot you're having a vague conversation with. It's a teammate that needs clear instructions. If you find yourself doing something over and over, build a skill for it. And please, experiment. On the flip side, what you don't want to do, don't ever skip the plan. Don't treat it like ChatGPT. And don't work in isolation. Use different chat sessions for different versions of your project to stay organized.
So there you have it. The barrier to entry, that big coding wall, it's basically gone. You now have the professional workflow. You have the tools to give your AI teammate perfect context. The only thing standing between you and your first prototype is that first command. The question is no longer can you build it, it's what are you going to build first?